Welcome to Jets Rewind. This is Marty Shupak. I'm in Valley Cottage, New York, and I'm joined by the legend Ralph Schrager and the co-legend Ray Clifford. Ralph's in Belmont, Mass.
Which is also legendary.
Ray's in Marysville, Ohio, as he's getting ready for the Buckeyes, who are seated very highly in the March Madness. How you guys doing?
Good. It's been a dizzying week. A lot going on.
Yeah, finally had something going on, and we're going to get into it right away. Ralph, you have a trivia question, so let's slow down.
Sure. Let's do a quarterback trivia question again. Very simply, the Jets have had 3 Ivy Leaguers play quarterback for them in their history. Can you name them?
Okay.
Ray's already got the answer.
Yeah, one.
I know one too.
The other 2 are tough.
Yeah, I know one. I think.
Were they starters or just?
No, they were there for a very small cup of coffee.
I know one's from Dartmouth. I forgot his name. But all right, we'll come back to that. A lot going on. A few things. I'm not going to cover everything, but the Jets, right before we took the air, they signed Dan Feeney, a guard from San Diego. I'll give a background in a couple of minutes. And they also signed Keelan Cole, a wide receiver / slot receiver from Jacksonville.
And also a return guy. I just saw him return a 90-yard punt against Green Bay for a touchdown. He looked really good.
Right. Okay. Which we have a scouting report on both of them. Just so you guys know, also just came across the wire. Rashad Perryman signed with the Lions.
All right. I saw that.
Also, Pro Football Talk says that the 17-game season is a reality. It's unconfirmed, but we'll have to see. I just want to talk for a minute, and then you guys could talk, give us your editorial comment. Everything, all the buildup and everything that we've been listening to with Joe Douglas, who was supposedly in great demand, and he ended up signing a 6-year contract. And he's been feeding us stuff that football begins in the trenches. And we all thought that he was going to make not so much as a splash for the skill positions, but with the offensive line of the Jets the way it is, we all thought he was going to come away with at least one of the 2 big names, and maybe even Zeitler, who signed with San Diego, was let go by the Giants. He came up empty. And besides that, he's letting this Sam Darnold trade just fade. And, you know, what I said to Ray, Ralph, before is that when you don't get the players you want, when you don't overpay at the beginning, you're going to be overpaying at the end for players you don't want or never had a radar on, just to satisfy the fans. Even though within the last hour he signed 2 players, one was an offensive lineman who I don't think is very good. I'm just not very happy the way Joe Douglas has handled this whole free agency period with all the money they had. So I'd like a reaction from each of you.
All right, I'll go first. As far as the offensive line, it's a really thin class of quality offensive linemen. Now, Thuney, I mean, given the choice, where are you going to go, to the Jets or the Kansas City Chiefs? The Jets would have had to have paid him probably twice as much to get him. For some reason, they didn't think Lindsley was a fit for them. And, you know, you look at who's left. There's a lot of offensive linemen. They're all in their 30s, and we don't really want that. So I think he's going to have to go in the draft. We got to hope maybe that Adoja or Cameron Clark steps up, but I think he's got to pick out of the top 5 picks in the first 3 rounds. I think he has to pick 2 offensive linemen, preferably a tackle and an interior guy. I think he went after, you know, positions where there's depth, wide receiver. There's a lot of cornerbacks out there. I'm waiting for him to grab a cornerback. I'd really like that. I'd be a little annoyed if he didn't.
Ralph, before we get away from the offensive lineman, one thing that I was really bothered when they said, or you even said that the center from Green Bay, Lindsley, wasn't a good fit for them. I read that it wasn't a good fit because they want to keep Connor McGovern at center. I understand that he plays better at center, but I think the state of the Jets offensive line, you got to have some sort of flexibility. I mean, to let a guy like that go, I don't think they're in any better shape right now than they were last year. And I don't know if rookies are really going to come in and do the job in their rookie season.
Well, getting veterans, I mean, he did that last year and they didn't really work out too well. So there's no guarantee there either. And Becton did. Becton was, so, I think it might be, he might have to go through some pain for a year or so before some of these young guys develop. But I don't think he has a choice myself. I think he was kind of hamstrung in this. I don't know about how you feel, Ray.
I don't think he has much choice now. I think he had a lot of room to play around. I'm just baffled that, I understand Tunney might have wanted to go to Kansas City. I can't blame him for that. But I look at the Chargers, took Lindsley. They took the guy out of Pittsburgh that I thought was very reasonably priced, who I looked up his stats, and he's only given up like 2 sacks or so in the last 2 years. And he's only had like 3 penalties, which is one of Marty's big.
Right.
But then he let Elflein go for basically, I'm not sure if this guy is any better than Elflein, but, I don't think he made the line better. And what scares me is this just reminds me so much of the McCagnon time, where I have to wonder if he was afraid to pull the trigger on some of these things. With Sam, that's another thing we'll get into when we talk about Sam. I'm just wondering if he is just afraid to pull the trigger on things. I think there are a lot of good second tier linemen that would have helped us. And I think, we got Becton, but Becton was also the top pick. We aren't going to use the number 2 pick on a lineman. So the further down you go, the more of a, more you have to hope you strike lightning in a bottle if you think they're going to start right out of the gate and be effective. They could.
I think the guy at 23, they should get a starter. It's a pretty deep draft.
I hope so. But I mean, with how bad our line was, I just wanted one.
Yeah, I agree.
I just wanted one.
That would have been nice.
Decent line and build from there. And I was frustrating. And now you add the Sam, the stuff with Sam on top of it. I think it's going to be an interesting year from, rest of the pre-season part where we decide if they're going to keep Sam. I don't know if they're going to be able to trade him, but I don't know if he can pull off a free agent or a trade of some kind for a lineman. We'll see, but I'm disappointed in that. I didn't dislike any of his drafts. I liked his
signings,
draft, his free agents. I like the ones he picked, but they're all guys who are specialty positions.
Right.
And just like we saw last year, if you got 2 seconds to throw the ball, you can have all the guys you want at receiver, running back, all those positions, but you got to have some time to get them the ball.
Right. Let me quickly give you the scouting report. I did some research before we went on the air. Dan Feeney's a 27-year-old guard from Indiana. He in 2017, he played in 15 games, started 16. 2018, 19, and 20, he played in 16 games each year. He started all 16, so that's 48 games. Last year, he had 2 penalties, 4 sacks. His PFF rating was 48.2. For offensive linemen, usually 70 is average. But a little aside on that, I don't take that a lot into, to be biblical with that, because I've seen the Jets offensive line, and then they come out with grades, which I don't understand. He plays guard. He played center last year for like 9 games. It looked like he was improving the first 2 years, and the last half of the third year and last year, he had a little bit of a setback. I just have the same feeling about him and Greg Van Routen that I don't know if it's any big improvement. He's a much better run blocker than a pass blocker. So I'm not sure if he's a guy that really had high in the list or on the short list after the first tier, but I'm not impressed with this guy. I'm just not. And it looks like he's going to be starting unless they,
I wouldn't jump to that conclusion so quickly. I think he's a depth guy. If he starts, then that's a problem.
So then who do they get rid of, Ralph?
Who get rid of?
Did they get rid of Alex Lewis?
Not yet, but I expect that they'll get rid of him or Van Roten.
Who do they get rid of first?
Whoever, I don't know, probably whoever has the higher contract, probably Lewis.
Yeah, that's what I think too. So, okay. And Ray, you did a little background on this Keelan Cole.
Yes.
You want to tell us what you found?
Sure. He's 27. He's 6'1", 194. He was an undrafted free agent out of Kentucky Wesleyan. His best year was this past year with 55 receptions, averaged about 11, almost 12 yards a catch, and had 5 TDs. But his rookie year, he had 42 catches, which was 2017, and averaged almost 18 yards a catch and had 3 TDs. So
Blake Bortles was the quarterback that year, Ray, I believe.
I believe you're right. Yeah.
Okay.
So career, he's had 159 receptions. His average is 14 yards a catch, and he's had 12 TDs. He's played in every game, but he wasn't really a starter so much. He started 23 of the games. He also returned a few punts, had a 15-yard average on that, had one 91-yard return for a touchdown.
15-yard average is great. How many punt returns?
But he only returned 9. So
that 90-yarder helps. Yeah.
Okay, I was going to say 15-yard. Say goodbye to Barrios for that.
No, I definitely think Barrios is gone.
Yeah, I think so. I think he was a spot guy for that, because if he was really that good, he'd have a lot more than 9.
He's heading back up to the New England, by the way, as we speak.
I don't know what he's going to do there.
Who isn't heading back to New England as we speak?
Everyone is.
I just signed a contract.
It is. Let me ask you this, both of you. Keelan Cole, does that mean we've seen the end of Crowder?
No,
I don't think so.
Rashad Perryman left, so
I don't think so, because I don't think Barrios is gone. Now, I thought if they signed Smith-Schuster, that would be the end of Crowder. I don't know if this signing ends that, or they're still thinking of it, because if they get rid of Crowder, I think that's 10 million off, and they could probably sign Schuster for a little more than that. And I think that would be a good trade-off, because you get a younger guy for 3 years, and he's a good football player.
He played with Sam too at USC.
Yeah, I know. That's my only concern is, well, if we have him, we might as well keep Sam, right? No, I don't think so.
Well, we're going to get into the Sam in a second. I don't think the Schuster talks are still going on, Ralph.
No, I don't either.
So I think you're right. They're probably going to keep Crowder, who I like. Is it with this receiving core, and if they get one more starter in the draft, does this make it more Sam friendly going into the season with the new coach too?
It couldn't hurt. I mean, anytime you add talent at the positions like receiver, running back, you're helping your quarterback. But I mean, to me, we talked about this in the last show. What's the most important group on the team? The offensive line. If they don't take care of that, I don't care who they bring in, honestly.
Well, I said if they get one more starter.
Yeah.
Draft. All right. Now, go ahead, Ray. Now, I was going to
say starter doesn't mean, I want him to be good, not just a starter. I want him to be, somebody we can rely on for a few years more than just, a lot of guys could be a starter on this offensive line. That doesn't really say a lot.
Right. Ralph, is Corey Davis an upgrade over Brashard Perryman?
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
Okay. In what respects? I mean,
well, first of all, durability. Second
right.
of all, he's a better football player. Brashard Perryman might be a better deep threat, but I just, Perryman has had like 1 4-game stretch 2 years ago where he was
Right.
good.
At the end of the year.
Yeah, I think this guy, this guy, he almost got 1,000 yards last year. And think about it, that was a team that had a 2,000-yard rusher, so they were a running team. So I think this guy is very good. I don't know if he's like a deep threat like Robbie Anderson, but I think he and Mims, really nice bookends. They're both big. They both have huge radiuses. It'll be nice for a quarterback to have that kind of size. He's pretty fast. He's strong. The guy he's got some physical tools. He was the 5th guy picked in the draft right before Jamal Adams, by the way. It took him a couple of years. I think maybe Arthur Smith's new offense and Tannehill, and they started using him and taking advantage of it. He's supposed to be a good blocker, which Mims looks like he is
you're
too.
right. They probably got the best blocking wide receivers in the game.
Yeah, which is good because I know Salah wants to run a lot. So, and as far as one more thing about Lindsley, it's possible that Mike LaFleur talked to his brother about this guy, and he found out stuff that was not worth pursuing.
No offense, I have no confidence in the LaFleur from Green Bay just because of that last play of the first half of the playoff game, Ralph.
First half, yeah, that was.
I cannot believe that a head coach doesn't have a voidable power on the last play, just like Adam Gase with the Raider game. To me, it's just unbelievable. I know Ray's laughing because I do this. I'll look at one play and I'll base my whole outlook on it. But right now,
it'll be mid-game. We got to cut that guy right now. He just jumped off sides.
It's true. It's what's it called? It's called a reflex action.
Yeah. Knee-jerk
reaction. I admit it. Look, I'm a fair weather fan in the front one, rather. How do you guys feel about this linebacker they got, Jared Davis, who has not lived up to his when he was drafted, and last year he ended up losing his starting job and became like a part-time player for the Lions?
Well, he was a first-round pick from where else? Florida. The Jets are now the New York Gators, I think. They have so many.
We said it last year
players.
too.
So, his rookie year he was actually very good. I think that whole Detroit team, it's been such a disaster with Patricia. It's possible that he fell out of favor with him. Patricia's just. It was like the Jets with Gase. I think there's more to this guy. He plays hard. He has a motor. We'll see. I think Salah might be able to coach this guy up. I think
that was on top of Ray and Ralph. And Ray, maybe you could ask it, where the rumors came out that they were taking phone calls on CJ Mosley.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't know how I feel about that. I actually want to see how he plays this year. I'd rather just keep him. And that's on top of the fact, just so you guys know, they didn't exercise the tender on, not that they're the same category, Henry Lange,
Harvey Lange and
Frankie Luvo. They did
Frankie
not exercise.
Luvu,
Yeah. So, they're
those guys are not inside linebackers. But,
no. Go ahead, Ralph.
As far as Mosley goes, I have a feeling these people were probably giving him low ball offers for him. I wouldn't trade him for a low ball offer. If someone offered something really good, I'd consider it. Yeah.
Right.
I know you don't want to lose the few good players you have, but what's he, 29 now?
Yeah.
29.
I don't think they get enough to trade him.
Don't forget, Ralph, 29. Isn't that the age where the Patriots traded Nick Bonacati to the Dolphins? And he put together like 5 all-pro seasons after that.
Oh, yeah, I guess that's the rule of thumb.
Yeah. Okay, let's get into Sam, because as the days went on, I can't even keep track of the quarterbacks. Like dominoes, they were signing with teams. Left, right, whatever. Fitzpatrick. Just now, Trubisky signed with the Bills.
Andy Dalton.
And who's the guy that signed with Houston?
Tyrod
Taylor. And to me, what I see is that it is so thin out there. What I think is going to happen, I put it on the agenda. Could you guys see them keeping Darnold and drafting Zach Wilson at this point?
No, I couldn't. Was it Bill Parcells who said when you have two starters, you have no starters? That would be ridiculous. And what would you want? Sam mentoring for Zach Wilson? You want, what would they just tell him, just whatever he does, do the opposite. You know, I don't think it would work at all on any
And what's
level.
the option, Ralph? And
I think-
meanwhile, yeah, as we're talking, just so you know, Flacco is right now negotiating with the 49ers.
Yeah, which has really no relevance to this conversation. But the option is that you take what you can get for him. Look,
Wait. From who? Who is going to give them anything?
Marty, listen to me. When you sell a house, you can sell a house if the price is right.
Correct.
Okay. Here, Ray and I remember during the middle of the season, we kept saying, if we can get a 4th round pick for Darnold, would be great. If we get a 3rd, we do backflips. Then we start listening to all these experts who are saying he's worth a 2nd or a low 1st. And everyone started buying into it, and it was BS. They didn't know what they were talking about. Nobody in the league really wants this guy. I don't think he really got a quality offer for him. And I think at this point, you take what you can get. You know, you can sell anything at the right price.
So if it's a 5th round pick, you take it.
Yeah, you have to take it. It's just a bad situation right now.
It's a horrible situation. Ray, what do you think? Ray, you with us?
I'm thinking. First, I don't think it would be ideal to keep him, but you better have somebody as a backup. I mean, even if they're, I agree. Maybe you wouldn't want him mentoring him in terms of how to handle himself on the field, but he might be able to show him something in the film room, how to break down film or anything like that. But we're at a point where, you know, if we are getting rid of him, he's right. You just got to take whatever you can get. I think the most telling sign was that we both named the Bears as a possible landing spot, and they threw the farm at Seattle trying to get Wilson. And when they got rebuffed on that, they turned immediately and signed Andy Dalton. They didn't come to the Jets and say, hey, how about we offer you something? Or at least I don't think they did. Maybe they didn't.
Well, somebody actually asked someone in the Washington team, they said, were you interested in Darnold? And they snickered at him like, no, it's not going to happen. I thought the best hope was, the Bears get Wilson and then Pete Carroll tries Darnold. Now, I think Washington is stupid. They're a poorly run team. For them to sign a 38-year-old journeyman, I would have taken a shot at Darnold over Fitzpatrick. I mean, what kind of future does that give that team? It's silly.
That's true. And he's never been in a playoff game. Not that Darnold has either. No. What happened, guys, to the 49ers? I mean, I heard, I even said on the air, there were reports that there was an offer on the table, but apparently that's not true.
Well, you know, these rumors, obviously, we can't trust anything. We have no idea what's true and what's not, and most of it is not true. Everyone's got nothing to write about now, so they write about all this stuff. So I don't believe anything I hear. Right. It's possible that's still, I think that when the Patriots signed Cam Newton, I think that was the end of them going after Garoppolo, which would have set off a domino effect. So I don't think that's gonna happen. San Francisco they say like they're not interested in Darnold. It's possible they aren't. So.
Ralph, can I just interrupt you? If you look at Cam's contract, though, the guaranteed money is really for a really good backup. It's not really starter money.
Yeah, that's true.
And he wanted to get his name on a contract because I think he knows his skills are diminishing. So there could be still a slight bit of hope, but they're not going to get
maybe because they're buying all of these wide receivers and tight ends, and they got a quarterback who can't throw. So that doesn't work too well.
Well, Ralph, again, I don't want to make this a Cam Newton Patriot show, but before he had COVID, was he that awful? I remember that Seattle game. He looked really good. Threw over 300 yards. Sorry, Ray?
He had a few good games early in the year. I don't know what happened to him, but whatever it is, that's what he is, what he was for the rest of the year. And I mean, his arm hasn't been what it was, in his prime for a while.
Hey, Marty, I
Yes.
don't want to, but I'd like to back up for just a sec.
Yep.
I think you skipped over probably the best signing that Joe Douglas did. I think Lawson was our best.
Oh yeah. Yes. Yes. Let's talk about.
That's the one that has me the most excited that we might actually have gotten an edge rusher if he can stay on the field. He's had some injury issues, but when he's on the field, he's been a really strong edge rusher.
You're 100% right. And he's actually peaking at the right time. And apparently he's like the third fastest edge rusher off the ball. And not so much as sacks, but quarterback pressures. He was
more important. It's more important
which is more important.
You get one sack a game, and you're leading the league in sacks.
Right.
And that's really what I read about Hendrickson, who we thought we might be going after and ended up going to the Bengals.
Right.
Was that he had twice as many sacks, but they said they qualify those as cleanup sacks. So basically it would have been like Lawson pushing them to him.
I watched every one of Hendrick's sacks because I figured 13 and a half sacks. Come on, he must have had some good. There were a lot of coverage sacks that he got. There's no question about it.
Well, Ralph,
Lawson,
you think
Lawson definitely is
a great pick?
What?
You think it's a great pick for Lawson?
Yeah, Lawson's definitely quicker off the ball than Hendrickson.
Yeah.
I'm really pleased that they were able to get him. I guess coming from Cincinnati, it's not much different. I was surprised that they could get Corey Davis because a wide receiver coming to a team that has no quarterback plan at the moment surprised me. But
yeah, no,
nobody to throw to him, but he has to go to this team.
No, you're right. You're absolutely. You're right. That's why
Cooper will come out of retirement.
No, when I heard these Schuster rumors this afternoon, I was excited, but then part of me said, "You got to be kidding!" You know what?
He's great on the deep ball, too bad.
Well, yeah, he hasn't. The wide receivers. There are a lot of. I heard who was it? Bart Scott. He had a very interesting thought today. That the reason a lot of these wide receivers are not being so sought after is because I think a lot of teams feel like the first round of the draft, there are so many good wide receivers that they can get a better wide receiver for a lot less money, a lot of these teams. So a guy like Kenny Golladay right now, he's probably not going to get as much money as he thought he was going to get.
Well, what a lot of the agents are doing is they're telling them because the salary cap is down, bet on yourself, sign that 1-year contract, and there'll be a lot more money next year. Just make sure the team you're signing with has a quarterback, though.
Yeah.
But no, that's a really good point, though, Ralph. Let's see what else we're going to talk about. Oh, this is what I want to say. Boomer Esiason was talking earlier in the week that he was reviewing some Sam Darnold tapes, and that he came on the air and I'm paraphrasing. Said, "Boy, some of his throws were so bad. I don't know who he's throwing to." I went home on Wednesday last night. I sat down for an hour to review his tapes from 2019, 2020. And Ralph, I had told Ray last year in 2020, the way the defense, how fast they got into the backfield, I never saw anything like it in my life. It was like they knew the snap count, just like the Jets offensive line. I just see the difference in 2 years. Like in 2019, he had a little bit more time. Last year, it was just pathetic. He was on the run as soon as he got the ball.
Well, but none of his years were that good.
No, that's true. But look, we keep saying, and Ray and I keep talking about it. Well, look at Pat Mahomes, what he did in the Super Bowl with no offensive line. Look what Trevor Lawrence did against Ohio State with no offensive line.
Well, yeah, I mean, it is a huge factor. But if you're going to just say a quarterback's only as good as his offensive line, then you just throw anyone in there. You get a great offensive line. It doesn't matter who's the quarterback. Are you going to tell me that you don't think Aaron Rodgers or Patrick Mahomes would have had better numbers last year on the Jets than Sam Darnold?
They would have. No,
of course they would have.
I'm not. I'm just trying to, again, that part of me that sticks up for Sam like every week. I go back and forth, just like the win.
I know, but
I would
well,
argue,
it's gotta make you think that nobody in the league is going after him, right?
Yeah, no,
the flip side of that is, though, I would argue that Aaron Rodgers or Pat Mahomes would not have been in the playoffs if they were on the Jets last year either. Their numbers may have been better than Sam's, and I don't disagree with that, but I don't think they're making the Jets into a great team or a winning team, with the offensive line that we
I mean,
had.
Donald turned the ball over a ton in college
Yeah,
too. I mean,
but
it's
his
a
was
chronic
more
problem for
fumbles
him.
too. He had a lot of fumbles.
but
Yeah.
He didn't
But
take care of the ball well.
what
I mean, I
Ralph,
hate trashing the guy because I like him, and
No, I
I
know.
hope that one day he will be able to make a career.
but
But
Ralph,
But in New England,
let someone else, make him as their project. If they didn't have that number 2 pick sitting there and they were like picking in the middle of the first round, well, maybe it's a little different. But how many opportunities do you get?
Ralph, was it the fact that there was really 8 to 10 teams interested, but Joe Douglas did not want to pull the trigger this early in the offseason? Or was it that they just don't think he's as good as was coming out in the press?
I don't think I think he probably got lower offers for him than he expected. But I think you're right, Ray. He is very cautious by nature. He's and that can be a good thing at times, and it can be a bad thing at
I
times.
think this time,
And when the free agency started and all these guys were jumping in getting players, finally he jumped in just at the right time. He didn't want to wait too much longer.
yeah. Oh,
I think he sized up the market. He paid similar money that the Patriots paid for Nelson Aguilar. He did for Corey Davis, and the same thing with the edge rusher Matthew Judon. He paid similar money too, except his guys are younger.
yeah.
But so I think he was sizing it up. He's fairly new at this, so maybe he's just cautious by nature. I don't know.
Are we overreacting, Ralph? Ray and I?
I think you have a right to be frustrated about the offensive line. I agree with you with that. He should have. He probably should have overpaid for someone.
If you want to attract players, you got to get players, and you're going to have to overpay for those good players.
Well, yeah, when you're a bad team, you have to overpay a little. You don't want to go crazy doing it, but I think for that particular position, I think it might have. But it's already happened, and I don't know. I hope he gets some cornerbacks though.
I don't see any linemen left that I would be. I mean, including the guy we just signed. I hope I'm wrong and he pans out. Obviously, he's on the team, and I'm going to hope for the best. But I look at that list of guys, and like you say, they're all in their 30s, and the guys who aren't in their 30s aren't all that impressive. And the ones that I think have value are the ones that he doesn't seem to want to go after, which is I saw a couple centers that I thought might be pretty good. But
I mean, maybe would you take a chance on a 33-year-old guy who's still playing at the top of his game, like Russell Okung, get a couple of years out of him?
I would do that if you draft, like you said.
Yeah, draft a tackle. Yeah,
draft a tackle and another guard. Out of the first 4 picks, I would draft.
I would too. I would do that because he's been healthy and he's still playing at a pretty good level.
Yeah,
some offensive linemen can last quite a while.
Yeah, I think they're going to have to do something like that. All right, Ralph, we got to wrap this up. Let's go back to the trivia question. This has been very, very insightful, and we're deep into free agency. So go ahead, Ralph. Ask that trivia question again.
By the way, Monday, the 23rd is Mac Jones's pro day. I watched Lance's and I watched Trevor Lawrence's from start to finish. A lot of fun.
How was Lance's?
Lance, of all the quarterbacks, he definitely has the strongest arm. He can throw through a wall.
Oh, boy.
I thought
Another Josh Allen, Ray.
His accuracy was so. Even on the balls that they were catching, everything was a little high.
I thought he was waiting. The little I watched, it looked to me like when he was doing like a curl pattern or whatever, that he wasn't hitting the guy coming out of his curl. The guy was standing there waiting on the ball to get to him all the time. I thought he was slow getting the ball out. And that's no pressure.
Yeah, I know. He's a specimen though. He's a big guy.
He can throw that ball.
All right, Ralph, let's ask that question again.
The question is simple. Name the 3 Ivy League quarterbacks who have taken at least 1 snap for the Jets in a season game.
Go ahead, Ray.
Ray, you're the smart one here, so you got to get the Ivy
I
League
still got
question.
one, Fitz. And
That's
then
what I got, right? Fitzpatrick. I know there's one
I
from
was-
Dartmouth. I forgot his name.
That's right, the Jewish kid from Long Island, Jay Fiedler.
Oh,
Jay
Fiedler.
Fiedler. That's it. And who's the third
And the
one?
last one goes way back. I'll give you his college. He went to
Yeah.
Columbia.
Oh, Marty Dorms.
Marty
Oh.
Domres.
Marty Dormers.
That's right. And interestingly enough, when the Jets drafted Namath, I believe in the 7th round, they picked a guy named Archie Roberts from Columbia, but I don't think he ever made the team.
There you go. That's a great question. That's really
Didn't Domres end up out on the Chargers?
Yeah. He bounced around a little, but for the Jets, he might have only been in a game or two. You know, we can't handle these smart guys.
All right, for Jets Rewind, this has been Ray Clifford, Ralph Schrager, and Marty Shupak. Keep checking our Jets Rewind website. And also, if you listen to our podcast, please give us a 5-star review and tell all your friends about them, all your
We'll take 4.5.
NFL fans about them. We love the good reviews. Until next time.